So, how do we constantly grow and change and be in this relationship with our desires that allows us to consistently, set and reach higher goals? Like, how do we do this, creating and stimulating all of this change while retaining the stability that we love? Because all second level teachings are paradox. They're all
Okay.
paradox. So that's why you need contemporary teachers to be like, this is how something is both and. How do we have stability and change? How do we have effort and surrender? How can I affirm to the universe, I want this, while also being grateful for what I have? This is what mastery is, to be able to hold, it's a yin yang. So to be able to hold two total opposites and be like, this is how it's both and. It's not something that you can understand in a book. It's something that someone has to demonstrate for you.
Yeah.
So make those TikToks, everybody, when you figure one of these things out. So if we can, so the sabotage is I break what's working because I crave instability because it's more familiar to me than stability. Now, how do we fix this for this particular situation? If we were to, like, we have an occult business school. So we always teach magic and business together.
Yeah.
And the hack that I found for this one that we use with a lot of our students is all of our students at some point in the school year is actually in business. And the principles for scaling a business are the
Mm-hmm.
same principles for scaling anything else in your life. And this is that scale is achieved when we stimulate our growth while retaining our core values. We stimulate our growth while
Okay.
retaining our core values. So let's say that I have an Instagram that I'm like, vegan diet is what's up. Like, this is what I
Yeah.
believe in. My core values are vegan. And I just kind of have defaulted to that because that's what I'm doing in this moment. And then I'm trying to scale. I'm like, guess what? Everyone was going vegan back then. Now all the vegans are going carnivore and now
Yeah.
meat. And now we're only going to have veggies are really bad for you. If I have defined my core values to say, I'll try anything once. I'm a big trier. Vegan
Okay.
this, carnivore this. I can grow my business as big as I want because while changing up my diet, because my core values are that I want to try new things.
Okay.
But if
Yeah.
I haven't defined my core values and I've just said, oh, today it's vegan and then tomorrow it's carnivore, there's no trust. There's no trust in myself. There's no trust in the audience. And this is just what happens when we try to grow without figuring out what's important to us, what we actually want
Wow.
to stand by. So what I'm going to prompt you and your husband to do, and this is also really fun to do with kids, you have to adapt it a bit for them, but at the end of the year, it's such a fun practice to do. Don't try and make your core values, discipline, authenticity, performance, because it doesn't have any feel. It doesn't mean
Yeah.
anything
Broad
to you.
spectrum stuff. Yeah.
But you can sit down with your husband and say, okay, we're just going to make a quick declaration of independence. Quick declaration of independence. So you're going to have this writing prompt. We hold these truths to be self-evident, and write them down about your family. In our family, one of the truths we hold to be self-evident is that other people's stories aren't our stories. Just because they experience doesn't mean that we will. In our family, we also believe that neutral time, that time spent with that having open time allows for
Mm.
magic. And so we just worked for the whole year to be able to have 3-day weekends going forward. We just experienced our first one yesterday. If you write down with your husband what your core values are for your family, then you will see all of these different ways that you can start to actively pursue these other big dreams that you have that you're meant to act on without disrupting the family base. You can have all of that creativity and all of that challenge while
Wow.
still returning to the type of family culture that your kids will know they can depend on as adults, the type of things that make them really crave coming home to you because you're like, in our family, we do this. And that's how you'll
Wow.
solve that.
That is incredible advice. incredible advice. I feel like I nearly hit my microphone because I was like edge of my seating on that.
It's really fun though, and like you'll feel it working. You'll feel it working right away. So
Yeah.
sometimes the answer is in magic, but for most spiritual people that are so oversaturated with, hope and vision and stuff, a lot of times what they really need is to come at it strategically.
Mm.
And so that's why I love, faith without works is delusion. So to study magic without studying a way of making magic work for you is just a recipe for living in a school bus. That's
Yeah,
not really that fun.
absolutely. I find the way you speak is just so authentic. And I remember you did a video before about how when somebody is speaking a lie, it's like you almost discount them. They're not entertaining, they don't keep you engaged. But when somebody's being true and speaking from their core or whatever, it's like it's easier for you to take in and listen to that.
Hmm.
How would you advise somebody who struggles with authenticity? Because I find, like, I know in this business, AI is a big thing. Like, I refuse to let AI write anything for me or do any intros because I'm like, if nobody cared enough to write it, nobody's going to care enough to read it. So
Yeah.
I find, like, I think that is also something. Well, a lot of people are obviously probably struggling in their own industries and work and stuff with AI. But how did you find such an authentic voice? Is that something you've always had?
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And
That
thanks for
shocks me.
thanks for this question. When you guys can test this for yourself, here's your little practical test, but you can reflect on any moment where you went to speak up in front of let's say you were at a birthday dinner or some agonizing event like that, a baby shower, and you went to say something, and the moment you speak up, everybody kind of like turns and looks away, and you're
Mm,
like, oh, yeah, nothing. Go back and reflect on that, and what was it that you were going to say? Was it going to be something from your heart, or were you filling the air? Was it a story that wasn't yours? Was it because when you're these are all different shades of lying, telling stories that aren't yours, repeating jokes that you never thought were funny, saying things for attention, saying things for approval. There's a texture, it's called a sound current. There's a texture in your voice that people automatically know to disregard.
wow.
It's like it's the same way where you can see that somebody's going to try and sell you a $5 Temu product before they even start talking, and you just instinctively know, I'm going to pass on that. But when you speak from your heart, it has a texture, it throbs, and people just, even if you were saying something totally lame, people know to put down what they're doing and to stop and to listen to you, whatever it is that you're saying. I escaped and there's a point to this. I escaped to the children of God when I was 13. And my biggest fear was that people would find out that I wasn't like them. From age 13 to 27, I lied about everything.
Wow.
Literally every. So I was also hiding major eating disorder, major uppers addiction, like a whole series of things. And I told people I wasn't, because there was nothing I could say. It was for my survival. There
Yeah.
was nothing I could say to people that wouldn't hurt me in some way. People say, do you have brothers and sisters? Yeah, I've got 10 of them. They go, oh, people are like, oh, where are you from? I'm
Yeah.
from Brazil. Oh, like everything, even to survive and get a job, I couldn't tell people how old I was because I needed to be 16 to work. And here I am on my own at age 13. So it became this habit of lying about everything. And when I look back on it now, I'm like, you don't realize how heavy it is to carry around a bunch of fake personalities until you take it off. To panic when two people independently are in the
Mm,
same room and they're going to compare stories. And I told one person that my mom's Bjork, and I told the other, like I was just one lie always led to more. So for 14 years, there was this like unspoken rule in my family that just don't tell anybody where you're from. Don't tell
mhm.
anybody. We don't talk about this part of our life. Even though my brother made a documentary that was like all over HBO. After that, my family was like, ah! And
Lock it down.
yeah, seriously. And it was a gag order that was literally just
Wow.
across. I remember I did an anonymous AMA on Reddit drunk one night. I grew up in the Children of God, asked me anything, and my family descended on me.
Yeah.
I and then my fiance died. And then I came home and I found my fiance dead. And I just couldn't fake it anymore. I just couldn't do it. I
Wow.
just couldn't do it. I just couldn't put on this vodka soda pouring personality bartender that was like, yeah, let's talk about all these things I'm not interested in. I couldn't small talk. My will to live was so small that I couldn't fake the interest.
You
Like,
couldn't muster it up anymore.
I just couldn't do it. And I had to get it out. So that's actually
Hmm.
how my career started, was I just started writing, I'm trying to get sober in a
Hmm.
very Irish family who had just experienced a loss.
Yeah.
Here I am having this totally different experience of death in a family that I've known for 10 years, trying to stay sober. And I had a newsletter list with like maybe 15 people on it. And I just started writing to this newsletter list about what was going on with me, going through death, going through, and that grew and grew and grew, just one little recommendation at a time, and that's actually how my career started. But we talked about that the inauthenticity is rooted in grief.
Okay.
As a child who is scared and things aren't explained to them, so they're explaining it to themselves. They're afraid of losing the people that they love. They're constantly bombarded with new information that they don't understand. There's so much that a child is processing all of the time. They're going through a lot and they're feeling a lot. And then they figure out around the time they're like 5 or 6 years old that if they're not happy, they can pretend to be. If they don't
Wow.
like it, and that there is a code of conduct that makes their parents go, I'm so proud of you. That there's a series of behaviors that they can do to get love.
Hmm.
And this is so sad because
It
a
is.
child that's so small has figured out so young that, like, your parents have one job: to convince you that love is free. And
Yeah.
95% of parents, that you don't have to work for love. 95% of parents fucked this up. And so you have a child that, when they're way too young to be doing something like this, they start working for love. They start pretending, they start hiding things, they start lying, and it just works so well. You can see
Yeah.
something that doesn't line up with how you feel, and everyone goes, ah, you can do your little bit, and everyone goes, ah. And you start to believe, I could really just be this person. There's a more lovable version of me. Maybe she's skinnier, maybe she's louder, maybe she never sings,
Yeah.
maybe, and maybe I can just, and this is a code of conduct that you wrote for yourself, about yourself, when you were like six
When you
years
were
old,
6 years old. My gosh.
and have just never checked it. And even though we adapt, even though we're stimulating growth, ooh, I can be like this now, I can do this, and now I'm going to be a vegan. The core value of who you are as is not lovable, so
Yeah.
switch it up. That core value remains unquestioned. And as somebody that lived this way for 14 years, when somebody doesn't know you, somebody can't love you. So
Yeah.
no matter how perfectly you curate your personality, no matter how much you try and get the perfect thing or rehearse your opening line in the mirror, nobody ever gets to know you. And that means that, like, even if you're in a relationship for years with somebody and they're saying, I love you all the time, this could be your parents. You will not believe them because there's a voice in you that says, if you knew the real me, you'd leave, just like everyone else
Wow.
leaves when they find out the real me. So, all of this is at the deepest level in that category of a child so sad that they have to work so hard for love. And that's just not true.
Yeah.
And that's just not true. It's just that nowadays, like, if I could remove two words from the English lexicon, it would be this term trauma dumping, because it's only trauma dumping when you don't like the person that's talking. If it's somebody that you like, you're like, tell
Yeah.
me the dirt,
Yeah, you want to
like,
hear more. You're
give
so
me
right. Trauma
more.
dumping is only when it's like a stranger and you're like, please,
Yeah,
no.
yeah, But this is like trauma dumping. This colloquialism that we have now is making so many people feel even more like the only space that they could be safe to talk about this is in the privacy of a therapist's office, because because the world only wants a happy them. Because the world only wants a happy them, and social media only wants a happy you. And like, you can dump on me, baby. I have space for all of that. I tell people my conversations are like my coffee. We go really dark, really fast, just straight to it, just and one right after the other.
Hey everyone, Chelsea here. I would love to take a moment to introduce you to our app, Yoga Plus. You will gain access to an incredible collection of videos led by top instructors in yoga, fitness, nutrition, and so much more. Download our Yoga Plus app today and get a free 14-day trial.